Hey, everybody, welcome to my favorite shitty movie now on Monday nights. I'm very excited about tonight's episode. We're talking about a movie called Cabin Boy with our guest, Steve Skelton, who will be on in just moments. But I'll share my original story of Cabin Boy. I attempted to see this in the theaters. I was in college. Hello. Hello. Oh my god, I'm back. I don't know what happened. My Wi-Fi conked out. I apologize. Anyway, I was talking about the first time I went to try and see Cabin Boy in the theaters. I was in college, and on my birthday, which is in January, I would always go out to see two of the shittiest movies I could find because it was January and that's when they came out. And one of them was Cabin Boy, and I went the Tuesday after the weekend opening of Cabin Boy, and I got to the theater and I said, "One for Cabin Boy," and it was still on the marquee and everything. And they were like, "Oh no, Cabin Boy's not playing anymore. We're showing Intersection with Sharon Stone and Richard Gere." So I saw Death Wish 5 instead, and then House Party 3 or something like that. It was very disappointing. I was very sad. But I'm very excited that our guest tonight has brought this movie to us. It is going to be so much fun to talk about. Again, sorry for the technical difficulty and the Wi-Fi wonkiness. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome lover of Cabin Boy, Steve Skelton.
Hello. I also have my DVD of Cabin Boy.
Standard DVD. Is it out on Blu-ray yet?
Yeah, no, they did a 4K remaster. A Criterion. Like they spared no expense. The funny thing is my story of seeing Cabin Boy is almost exactly your story. Because I did the same thing in college. I wanted to go see it, and like and for birthday, and I'm trying to remember if I think at the time it was. I think my girlfriend at the time had seen the trailer and was like, absolutely not. Uh, so I was like, fine, I'll go see it myself. I'll go see it myself, in a couple of days. Except the big difference is in my town, Cabin Boy came into town straight to the $1.50 movie theater.
Oh, it's
Like it didn't
first
even go
run.
to the regular couple of movie theaters. There was no first run. They went straight to the $1.50,
Yeah.
and I literally it showed up. It was there on a Friday, and I was like, fine, I'll go see it on a Sunday. And I went to go see it on a Sunday, and it was already gone. So I didn't see Cabin Boy. I had to rent it eventually.
Yeah, that I saw it on VHS for the first time, and I was like, "Oh God damn it! I wish I'd seen it in the theater because it's so dumb."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not like a Martin Scorsese cinema need to see in the theater. I don't think. It's probably the dumbest movie ever made.
Well,
Like, but
Freddy Got Fingered might be dumber.
Might be, but I'm not sure. Like they're both deliberately. I mean, and Freddy Got Fingered is a good example because it is like this particular type of absurdist comedy that is aggressively dumb is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Because like it's completely aware of what it's doing.
Yeah.
And it's daring you to get mad at it because it's so dumb. And okay, and Jeff says that it's a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, which seems high.
That does seem high, and I bet that a lot of that is later reviewers weighing in who probably had a soft spot for the cult.
Like it was a dead before Arrival movie. Even though it was a merciful 80 minutes, it still dares you to sit through the whole thing. And it wallow in its dumbness.
Yes, it's dumbness and odd offensiveness. It's so weird.
The weird thing is, like, I watched it again over the weekend, and yeah, it's got some stuff that hasn't aged, but it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well,
like it's more mild gay panic, mild misogyny, but the misogyny stuff is like a deliberate kind of dumb take on movie convention romance.
Yes.
So it's pretty self-aware of what it's doing.
Yes, it doesn't seem to be not on purpose, the jokes that can be read that way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But you're right, and
again, it was no like it in general, it's kind of like humor that hasn't aged that well. Has aged better than the ending of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like it's not like that's where I was like when I watched it and I was like I haven't watched this in a few years, so like I can't remember. Is there any like really like offensive stuff? And I was like, oh no, it's just kind of a little bit of the peppering of
the homosexual panic jokes.
Yeah,
I think some modern audiences would find off-putting, but I think you make an interesting point about the point of view of the movie itself. And it's sort of making fun of the fact that is comic fodder. I don't know. It's weird. I think Cabin Boy succeeds where a lot of on purpose campy movies don't.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a movie that has layers, but without any layers.
Yes, it's very. Right. I mean,
so because it's just like no, we're dumb, and there's nothing more to read into it.
No, and this is the place Chris Elliott operates from.
Oh yeah,
I think in general, this is
because this was post Get a Life, so this is post TV show.
Yes, which is, yeah. I mean, but the fact that Get a Life launched him into a movie, I don't know. There was some. I mean, he's a nepo baby, so maybe he was just working that nepo baby.
Yeah, but like he was a nepo baby of Bob Elliott, like. Bob didn't, in the 90s, Bob ate like late 80s, early 90s. Bob didn't have a lot of heat. He was already like effectively retired. So, I mean, comedy legend, but not like, hey, give my kid a job.
I
I think most people in those positions at the time would have been like, who's Bob Elliott? They wouldn't even know because they wouldn't have bothered to learn the history because they're all fucking, like 25-year-old students.
Fucking idiots. So why don't you take us through the narrative of this picture? I've got stills. I just shot my TV while I was watching. This is the first one I got.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, and again, this was like a Tim Burton produced movie. I believe he was actually going to direct it, but then he went to do Ed Wood instead.
Mm-hmm.
So you can.
That's a really interesting thing to have happened.
Yeah, yeah. But
I'm not going to make this campy garbage. I'm going to go make this movie about making campy
garbage. Yeah, but you can really you can see the Burton influence through the whole movie. Especially in all the set. The very theatrical sets. But it's also like, here's Tim Burton with a $40 budget.
Yes.
Because it's like everything is like super cheap. It's clear there was no money. It looks like outside of the fishing village, it looks like every exterior location was stolen. Like it wasn't like they were like, we got to shoot this. Okay, just walk down this Griffith Park trail, Chris, but quickly because we don't want the cops to see it.
Unless they were
to get this coverage.
Yeah, unless they were on really small sound stages. That was
but for a lot of them they were. But like there were especially in the first quarter of the movie, there was a good chunk of this is an actual real world location.
Yes, one of the like way late in the movie. There's before they get to the. They're getting to the island with the sexy lady with a bunch of arms and all that. And there's a shot of the jungle, like, King Kong, Skull Island looking matte painting, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the characters and they're clearly in Southern California. There's no vegetation. It's just there. And it's like supposed to be next to the ocean. And I'm like, that's not next.
They look like they're like in like the Sepulveda Basin Park or it was just like, look, whatever the cheapest location that has grass is what we'll use.
That's what we use.
We'll just show up.
We show the painting
for people that haven't seen Cabin Boy.
And this is how the credits end, the opening credits. Nothing so liberates the heart as when a fool awakes from his folly.
It's, plot wise, it's just dumb Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's a basic plot. So yeah, Chris Elliott is a horribly unlikable fancy lad at this
and
rich boys school.
And that's another. I think it's worth interjecting here that this movie hinges on whether you can get into Chris Elliott's whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is he's always been obnoxious and unlikable. When he had the recurring thing on David Letterman.
Oh, Letterman, yeah.
And the whole thing was that he was annoying as fuck. And that's, in Get a Life, that's his thing. He's a really annoying serial killer. So that's his whole thing, is being annoying. So the fact that his character's introduced in this choir scene that pans across all these angel voiced boys, and you get to him and he's just being ludicrously stupid and obnoxious. So he's leaving
school. He's graduated from what's the name? I can't remember the name of the school. And there's Alfred Molina in, I don't know if he lost a bet or needed money and he just showed up, or he was just I've loved Bob Elliott ever since I was a kid, so I'll do it. Right. I don't know. I'd like to hear the story of how Alfred Molina because it's like a under 5 practically role. It's like
yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like Molina had that many. Like he was still sort of in Raiders of the Lost Ark land here. I mean, that's what
was he
did.
still in that territory? I thought he was.
Yeah,
at least
I don't think until Spider-Man did he really blow up and become this legendary character actor. But he was a character actor who's been in all these small roles that are very memorable because he's very memorable. Yeah, or also I think you might be right is that he was just like, yeah, I want to be in a movie called Cabin Boy. That sounds stupid. I'll take a paycheck for that.
So the whole plot is Chris Elliott's, idiot man-child character is going back home to Hawaii to take over the family resort business or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And it's his misadventures along the way. He angers his chauffeur.
Yeah.
Chauffeur abandons him like on Mulholland Drive. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is like where it's like, this is a stolen location, right? They just went out there and like, hey, nobody's around. And we just need.
I've been on that same hike. It's in Simi Valley. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, looks like he's definitely see me, and it has to be stolen. There's no. Why would you eat? Why would you
stolen? But they must have. They had to have brought a trained rabbit for this moment. This was not.
Oh yeah, it's where the bunny. He gets scared by a bunny.
Which is hilarious because he's a fancy lad, right?
He's a fancy lad. Yeah, he's completely helpless.
Yeah, there's he's walking down the road and he encounters a rabbit that terrifies him, and then he sees a cow.
Yeah, he takes the wrong directions.
Because the cow is standing in front of the arrow, telling him which way the golden mist.
I like how the fishing village sign says beer bait toilets.
Because that would be an attraction for the right kind of person. Is you can use a toilet.
Yeah, that's good art department right there.
Yeah. And then so he gets to the town, right? And who does he run into?
And it's like, and in this movie, like this like ramshackle fishing village is like a set piece. It's like the biggest like non soundstage set.
It's kind of awesome looking. It made me think of Popeye.
Yeah, but like Popeye, but much cheaper.
Yeah, much cheaper.
And probably not as much cocaine.
No. And it looked like it was on a studio lot somewhere, probably Universal.
Yeah. So like all that stuff was probably like left over from some other project.
Yeah, they just pulled stuff out of the dedicated.
Because I can't why would they build that from scratch for this movie? That doesn't make any sense. It had to be.
No, I think it was a dressed up. I'm pretty sure it was a dressed up, and I'm guessing Universal. If you've ever been on the Universal tour, there's that like I think they call it the Old West area, and it's it's like a village and it's hilly. It looks like that, but dressed up. But they did dress it up with a lot. Including Dave Letterman.
Yeah, and then Letterman's cameo,
which
where he just shotguns the low key sexism. Like keep referring to him as a little girl and calling him by
constantly
women's names, female
gender
names.
shaming.
Yeah.
But it's so the weird thing is it's so dumb and Letterman is so funny. I mean, I think in this cameo it's one of the funniest things Letterman ever did. He's really funny, aggressively so. He's amazing. I actually have a clip.
It's like he understands like again the assignment of Cabin Boy, which is like there's no nuance. It's just aggressively dumb.
I know. I love how he ends that scene, and it's a long scene, and he's just in that one scene. It's
too long. Like even it's like this movie is only 80 minutes long, and all the scenes are too long.
Yes, but also this is the best scene in the movie, so
Yeah.
why cut it short?
Yeah, this is their
Don't-
this is their
You-
this is their
they're just-
best stuff.
Yeah, and you can see Chris Elliott trying not to lose it in a lot of the cuts of the movie. I actually have a clip of this scene
Oh,
as done by the Anderson family reenactment team of
fantastic.
Hillary is David Letterman, and I am Chris Elliott. Here you go.
Well, well, well. What's on your mind, little girl?
I realize, of course, you are most likely the product of some lower class inbreeding. But perhaps you could help me.
Oh, gosh, I certainly hope so.
I have been wandering this dreary village in hopes of finding the Queen Catherine. You wouldn't know where she's docked, would you?
Well, you know what you are? You're one of them little fancy lads, aren't you? Boy, you're cute. What a sweet little outfit. Is this your little spring outfit? He couldn't be cuter. You're just adorable. Oh my. You know, you remind me of my niece Sally. Lovely girl. She's a dietitian. Hey, want to buy a monkey?
No, I do not want to buy a monkey.
And that's like a third of the entire sequence.
That's fantastic.
That bit. And then it goes on from there. He stops. David Letterman stops him, his character, because he can't stop fucking with the fancy lad, and he tells him where the ship is, and that's not the ship. It's not the ship, Skelton. What happened?
Not the ship. He sends him to the wrong ship. And he gets on the wrong fishing boat. It's on the wrong ship, which is a fishing boat with Andy Richter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got a photo of Andy Richter somewhere here. Oh, here he is. That's just like the first shot of Andy Richter in this movie.
Yeah, he's just standing there, just staring.
He's so dumb.
He's an imbecile.
And he
plays it to perfection.
He sets the fancy lad up in the captain's cabin, right? Because
he's watching the ship for the others, because the other sailors haven't come back yet.
Right, and Chris Elliott thinks it's a theme.
He immediately assumes, it's a themed, like the Disney Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah. But like a shitty ship, and and there's a whole long sequence in here that I love where Andy Richter is just selling how disgusting chum smells.
Yeah.
And then he makes him, because he's demanded chowder or something.
He demanded something.
Oh, he said bouillon. He said, "Get me some bouillon."
Yeah.
Andy Richter's
bouillon. I don't know. Maybe that's a fancy word for chum.
He proceeds to put chum in a coffee cup and spend so much time selling how gross it is. There's this whole sequence. Oh God. And is that before or after he dances like a harem girl?
I can't remember if he dances like a harem girl before or after he delivers the chum.
I think it's before, but I'm not really sure. But then Chris Elliott goes to sleep, and what happens?
Right. Well, then the sailors come back. You get your three sailors, and one of which is Leon from Blade Runner, and
Brian James.
And
Brian Doyle Murray.
Brian Doyle Murray, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
The guy with the voice. Who's the guy with the voice?
James Cameron.
Oh, okay, yes, he's his voice is so distinctive, and
Yeah.
I was so worried in this movie because he's constantly smoking cigars, and I'm feeling like that's not the best thing for you to do.
Yeah,
But
no,
maybe-
he's like more grizzled than humanly possible. Is but I mean, what's great about these characters is they make them so gross. Like they're
Yeah.
all so disgusting, and this like and the boat is all this lived-in, disgusting fisherman stuff. Oh shit, Coach of Major, yes,
The coach for
Coach-
Major League,
Yeah.
says Jeff Luce. That's right. Yeah.
and like it's interesting because it's like I'm trying to think of because it's still very Tim Burton-y and it's super heightened, almost cartoonish,
Yeah.
presentation. But it's like they've taken like Tim Burton's style and just like rubbed it in the dirt. And
Yeah,
made
it was almost like, oh, you're not directing this, so fuck you. We're gonna fuck with it,
so we're gonna make it extra gross.
and we're gonna.
Because his stuff, even if the dirty stuff is it's still got a kind of more like a theatrical cleanliness to the aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything he's done
This
that's
is-
been really gross.
I mean, the captain coming in. This is the captain here
Oh,
with
yeah.
his stogie in his mouth as he goes to sleep. I feel like this is one of the first big homosexual panic sort
yeah,
of.
but
bit.
it has a great exchange. It has a great deadpan exchange just before that,
Yes.
where they like wake up and he goes, "Hey, how you doing? Great." Like they're just
And
passing it
then-
or something, and then the realization, and then it's the planes, trains, and automobiles. Those are pillows.
That's a good movie. This is not. So then, yeah.
Yeah, he's discovered as a stowaway, and he's trying to get to Hawaii, and they're not going to Hawaii. And I can't remember if they make a deal. If he does stuff, then they'll take him to Hawaii. I just watched this, and again,
No, they just allow him. They allow him to remain sort of a stowaway because what else are they going to do? I guess other than kill him. So he's like he's wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
He's wheeling and dealing with the crew, trying to get them to change course.
by offering,
And
his
they all say "fuck off," except for one eventually.
and then Ricky Lake is the figurehead on the fucking boat. This is the weirdest part of the movie. Like,
it's very Mel Brooks. It's like a Mel Brooks bit all of a sudden.
But it's like a Mel Brooks with a little bit of like Clive Barker. Like it's really weird and a little unsettling, and like because and like the makeup, like she's like got that wood texture.
Yeah.
And she like changes appearance and stuff throughout the movie based on things, but it only
She
happens
looks
a
like
couple,
that.
2 or 3 times, and then it's never like it's just never dealt with in any way.
No, not really. And then there's a storm because
Oh yeah,
can't
well then he
remember.
convinces Richter, who's the imbecile,
to
to set
go to
course for Hawaii, which puts him into a storm, and then Richter gets knocked off the boat and dies.
yeah, and it's really dark and sad. All
It
of a
really
sudden.
is kind of just
But it's the whole reason for the title of the movie is until Andy Richter dies.
yeah. Now
Chris Elliott is not
Chris
the cabin
Elliott
boy.
can become the cabin boy.
The fancy lad becomes the cabin boy. Look at that great set storm for the rain machines. That water was cold and smelly. I
Yeah, the wind
guarantee it.
machines. Yeah, it's just like probably like blowing asbestos particles at everybody.
Yeah. So then the crew has their conversations about what to do about Chris Elliott, whether they should.
Yeah,
kill
they want to
him.
get rid of him. But no,
But
then they
the
decide. Well, when we come next island we come across, we'll just ditch him on it.
We'll get rid of him because the captain can't bring himself to kill him because they slept together. I guess. Here's the cabin boy on his first day of work, cutting off a fish head which he doesn't do well at all. He misses a bunch of times. And then when he finally gets it, he says, okay, done. And then he has to give them baths, which I thought was a weird choice. They hate this fancy lad, but we'll have him bathe us.
But they need help having baths. But they're also always so filthy. It's like even after they've had a bath, they're like immediately filthy. So like, there's no point in having a bath.
Except feel the warm hands of a cabin boy.
And also, this picture is great too because it's this weird sort of Tim Burton-y like mashup of like it's like an old timey fishing boat, but we got a microwave. And sometimes it feels like tonally is the movie supposed to be in like the 70s?
Another thing about this movie is it seems to be ultimately set in modern times, imagining we have supernatural creatures who exist. Yeah, it's super.
It's just like the time period of the movie is not a concern. It's the best way to put it. They're just like, there's a microwave, here's a car.
Hey, some people would call this a world building movie.
Right.
I'm just saying. So they get baths, but then they decide to put him out to sea.
They just play a prank on him because they hate him.
Yeah, and
it's dumb. There's no reason needed. They just convince him he has to be a lookout on this tiny raft, and they just extend like a 5 miles of rope.
Yeah, and the captain
into the ocean.
When Cabin Boy asks the captain, "Hey, what am I on the lookout for?" He's like, other ships, cars, UFOs, that kind of shit. Like it's like cars and UFOs. So when is this? When is this happening? So they put him on the boat, and then
they forget about him.
Yeah, and he gets scurvy and sun poisoning
and sunburned because he rubs himself with cooking oil.
Yeah, Crisco. He says when it says Crisco on it, vegetable oil, and he puts some on his hand and he goes, "Oh yeah, that feels like SPF 30." What is that? Is that a feel that you get? I don't know. But then he hallucinates and he sees...
Yeah, he hallucinates the ghost of Andy Richter in a white tuxedo.
Who then steps in through a trapdoor in the ocean.
Yeah.
And goes down in the water.
To the afterlife, into the ocean.
And then that's not enough of a hallucination, so he sees a moldy cupcake.
Spitting cupcake.
Yeah. It's like a moldy cupcake who runs away, and then he falls off the boat, right?
Yeah, and as he falls off the boat and then goes into this like the really like smoky bad version of being underwater when you're not actually underwater. And you're just on a set with a lot of smoke.
Yeah, and it looks like, or either that, or he really was underwater, and it was at the Disneyland.
I don't think this was
leagues.
No, I don't. These scenes are not actually underwater. This is like these scenes are on a set, and then there's a few shots of Russ Tamblyn in the actual like dirty swimming pool, where he has to do a couple of dumb stunts.
Right. But the set does look like Disneyland's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which
it does. But this can't. This like look at it again. There's no water there.
Yeah, no. But good work on the hair though. The hair looks.
Yeah, no. They hairsprayed his hair up.
I mean, this is a still, so I don't recall it actually waving in the movie, but I
think you were just too high to realize that wasn't actual water.
I was super high. Why would you watch this movie not high? Because if you're not high, you can't appreciate Shockey.
Chalky.
Chalky.
And then it's like the half man, half shark shows up, and it's fucking like West Side Story's Russ Tamblyn. You're like, what the hell? So this simply, he must be friends with Bob Elliott.
I guess, yeah.
Because I can't imagine, like, why would, and because Tamblyn was working through the 90s, doing a lot of TV and shit, so he was getting jobs. So this was like because like, why would you at this stage in Russ Tamblyn's career right here? Why would you be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to sign on to this no budget dumb comedy where I have to be crammed into a half shark suit and do actual like swimming?
I feel like it's multiple shots like this, and he was like sold on it or something. I don't know. I mean, I certainly would take the job of Chalky if it was offered to me.
Yeah, but like if you were like this is like what, like 93, 94, like if you're working like Tamblyn, who I think was probably doing picking up multiple TV jobs in a year.
Yeah, you're right,
like,
but
I don't want to get in the fucking water. I don't want to get in the dirty water, set water, and
TV jobs don't pay that well. I mean, they don't pay that well. So you get this day of work.
This couldn't have paid well.
No, but it's just another day of work, and if you can squeeze it into your schedule, I don't know why not.
I guess, yeah, it might be, yeah, it might just be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
And a chance to be stupid, a chance to be funny, a chance to be in something at least adjacent to a Zucker Brothers movie or a Mel Brooks movie.
And
I don't know. I would think that would be.
You didn't have to remember any lines, so
yeah, exactly. He just gets to be absolutely hilarious. There's the
there's Ricky Lake again now, changing appearance. Yeah, and this is like one or two times they acknowledge this at all. That they have this like animated, possessed figurehead on their ship.
But she also is how this movie moves from episodic chapter to episodic chapter.
Yeah. She's kind of like touchstone.
She's like the passenger timer, let you know where you are. So she's got a beard
touchstone that lets you know.
And there's the moon with a face, and then we're introduced to this very important character. Yes.
Right. The love interest who was just like swimming around the world.
Floating around the world, apparently, because she's just floating.
Well, but she was sleeping at the time.
Yeah, she was taking a rest.
And he puts her in a net and brings her on the boat, and he's immediately smitten because he's an imbecile.
Right. And then the crew deals with her.
Yeah.
And she's not having it. She's a whippersnapper. She's very fiery.
Yeah, again, it's like there's a the kind of like the 90s standard sexism, misogyny boiling around with a lot of the jokes and remarks. But she also is like I forget the character's name already. Because Melora Walters is the actress. So that's stuck in my head. Damn it. I'm looking for blah, blah, blah.
Hillary Davis Anderson says she always swims like that.
Okay, I blanked on the character's name, but
yeah, I can't remember it either.
But again, like she's like, mostly it plays it, kind of the knowing, kind of irritated eye roll.
She's
thank you, Jeff. Trina is the character's name.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Trina, thank you.
But except in those few bits where they're very clearly doing the extra dumb, romantic turnaround. They do that a couple of times.
Well, yeah, and the romantic turnaround in this is just, it's so stupid. Like he just because he gets laid, he becomes more attractive. But we'll get there. So
it couldn't be more thin. Like it couldn't be less supported by the story or characters.
Yeah, no. And then there's like a whole long sequence where he's dancing his weird
I think
dance.
this is my favorite part of the movie is where he's dancing and they're just throwing cans at his head.
It is really funny. And Trina comes in and gets and is mean. Like saying, "Why are you doing this? This is horrible." Yeah. And then eventually she turns and says, "No, yeah, fuck you, dance."
Yeah. Or he's like, "This is what you do with your time, humiliate an idiot." And they're like, "Yeah."
It's so stupid. And then we get
it makes that work. And what makes it funny is because it is just in like the general premise is just cruel. But his character, Elliot's character, is so insufferably unlikable throughout the whole movie that you get to that point, and you're like, yeah, I'd throw a can at his head.
Yeah. And then after all that stuff,
he's frozen.
At Ricky Lake, and now she's cold. And you're like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, they fight a snow monster.
Iceberg monster.
Iceberg monsters.
He comes out of the iceberg, and they fight him. And the guy from Major League kills him with
melts him with coffee, hot coffee.
Yeah, yeah. And then every time I see this movie, I forget about these weird sequences that happen throughout the movie. It's just odd, and it's a total derailment of whatever the narrative is supposed to be. But I guess it's very episodic.
What narrative?
I don't know. But then, like, they come out of that, and then they're suddenly confronted with this.
Yeah, with the mysterious island.
Yeah, which does look like Southern California whenever they're walking around.
Once they're on it, yeah.
Yeah, and then
this is where they're gonna drop them off to ditch them both. And
Chris Elliott takes it as a chance to make his move.
Yeah, he professes his love, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Well, and then she's like, where is everybody else? And he's like, oh, they're out testing out the ship to make sure it works. And she's like, you're a fucking idiot. They left us here. You asshole. But then he's told to go to the mountain.
Right. No, he can before the fishermen leave, he confesses to them that he's can't win Trina's heart. And was it Brian James who tells him to go to the Cali in the mountain? I can't remember one of them.
I think Brian James might start it, but I think they all kind of pitch in on it. And the captain is like, I don't know if I would do that, but yeah.
But he goes.
Yeah, he goes, and then he runs into this.
He climbs up a matte painting, and
he meets this lady on what looks like a really big pool toy.
Yeah, big pool, inflatable pool thing, pool pillow or giant inner tube. And I kind of like what's funny about this scene is, like, she's a supernatural, creature, but she's like, it's like, oh, and answer these riddles, and we'll have sex, and he's just an idiot, and she just gets bored dealing with it. She's like, fine.
Let's just have sex. And then comes the iconic trailer moment,
right?
Which I remember from the trailer, where he walks out of the cave, and when I saw the trailer, I didn't know what this meant, but I knew I was like,
knew you wanted to see it.
I wanted to see it because I wanted to know what he meant by ththese pipes are clean. I'd never heard that phrase. Never heard that in college. I was like, I don't know what that means. I want to see this stupid movie. But he's talking about having his, I guess, first orgasm. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, let's sure.
Yeah, but then he goes and he hooks up with Trina, right?
Yeah.
Because he goes
Yeah.
and he meets her and they hook up and she's attracted to
Yeah,
him.
she's immediately smitten with him. Like it's a complete turnaround with no real explanation. It's so dumb, unsupported, pointless. Like
It's just
at this point, if you're expecting the movie to make any amount of sense, you're angry. Like you're upset that the movie's doing this to you.
It really is. And then the sea nymph's husband comes home.
Yeah, it was a giant. Yeah.
That guy from Dumb and Dumber who eats the hot peppers accidentally.
Yeah. And he's
we-
like, but he comes home because he's like, open like a hardware store on the island or whatever, and he's stressed out about.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a hardware store. I think he's like working in middle management somewhere
Yeah.
because he's got like a pocket protector and all. I don't know. But he's complaining about
It's just like a regular everyday job.
Yeah,
That's not explained at all. It's just that he's just in like a work suit.
He's a
And then
giant.
mad that, she's had yet another affair with yet another,
so he gets
idiot off a boat.
Yeah, he gets mad. He goes after the boat, thinking the sailors are the ones who did his wife because he doesn't know.
And that's when Chris Elliott and Trina also like, oh, we got to help them.
Right. And right. Here's the captain and Brian Doyle Murray are like, oh, we're fucked. This guy's going to sink the ship. But then Chris Elliott says, we got to save them. And she's like, why would you save them? They were going to leave us here. And he's like, it's not about that. They're good people, I guess. It's like the movie has a heart.
Yeah, but not really. Yeah.
Not really, because the heart is immediately followed with him riding on his new girlfriend's back.
Like
she's such a good swimmer.
Surfboard.
He's got a fucking rein on her. He's like, he's got ropes around her. It's ridiculous. And then he gets in the fight with the giant.
Right. And the giant's gonna cut his head off with his giant nail clippers, which are even like huge for the giant.
Yes, they're
like
but
the
also
nail clippers are like for like a much larger giant.
Yeah, and this is very Tim Burton-y, I think, looking, but also very Ed Woody looking.
Yeah.
Which is sort of an interesting
and a little bit of like an unfinished Terry Gilliam movie.
Yes.
Like the studio said, no, we're closed. We're not funding this anymore.
Or a finished one like Jabberwocky.
Right. They just
it's like, why did you finish that? I had to get this still because this guy made so often and so well, and it's just very satisfying to watch him hurt something or somebody. I don't know why, but he does that. It's awesome.
But then Shockey comes back. Shockey returns. Russ Tamblyn returns.
Yes, to fight
to help defeat the giant car salesman.
Another potential reason Tamblyn did this was the dolls that were made in his likeness. That maybe he probably got to keep them,
Yeah. That was in his contract.
Yeah, I keep the dolls.
That was a big sticking point in negotiations for weeks. Like,
we don't want him to keep the dolls.
What if we need him for Cabin Boy 2?
What if we need those dolls and he's wrecked them by playing with them? Weirdo. So you have this end where
questionable optical sequence.
Yeah, he climbs up. He uses the belt to climb up the guy and wreck him.
He chokes him out. I assume murders him.
Yeah, he gives him some kind of injection or something, or stabs him.
I think he just chokes him. No, he stabbed him with the pen. I think he stabbed him.
He chokes him with the belt.
Choked him out with the belt.
So he killed the giant.
I guess he dies because the giant falls face first. I assume he drowns.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think he doesn't drown. I like to think that, he's just letting the cabin boy have his victory, and then he's going to go home to his wife and work it out. Like,
There's no evidence for that. There's no evidence for that, Tom.
It's what I like to.
Clearly drowns.
It's what I like to believe.
Not
because I don't think he was.
There's not supported.
He
by
wasn't
any.
that bad a guy. He wasn't that bad a guy. He was just mad that he didn't hurt his wife. He didn't hurt his wife. He left to hurt the person who fucked his wife. So I don't know. There's a lot of points there.
Relationships are hard.
Here's Chalky saying
There's
goodbye.
Chalky right sailing on his exit, magical exit, and then he like bloops into the water.
It's so good. I don't know why I find it.
It's so clunky because it must have been like impossible to do that dive with that stupid fucking costume on and like just with your legs tied together.
Did you ever see the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the first one?
Yeah.
And it has this whole cameo where David Hasselhoff saves SpongeBob and Patrick.
Yeah.
He's like swimming through the water and they're on his back. And I feel like that is a shout out to Chalky.
To Chalky.
And yeah, I feel like it was inspired by Cabin Boy. I could be wrong, but David Hasselhoff is this cheesy in SpongeBob. He can't help it. It's how he is. So that's sort of the climax of the movie, I guess. They beat the giant, and then they go to Hawaii after all.
Yeah, except this is just like this is just like a parking lot in Marina Del Rey.
Mm-hmm. And he says goodbye to everybody, and it's like the Wizard of Oz. And he literally says, "This is like the Wizard of Oz."
Yeah.
And then
Trina dumps him.
Yeah, Trina says, "This is not going to work. We don't work. It doesn't make any sense."
And she's absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah, why would she date him?
It hasn't made any sense from the get-go.
No, he's a moron. So then he goes to see his dad, and he's miserable.
I love the giant chair they got.
And I love that he's still disheveled.
Insane.
The arms are gigantic.
Yeah.
And his dad is like,
Bob Elliott,
what's your problem?
Everybody.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because he's like, what's your problem? And
he's just annoyed.
Why are you doing this?
That's what I love about like with Get a Life too. It was like that was their father-son dynamic on screen. Anytime they're on screen together, is Bob Elliott is annoyed, always annoyed by Chris Elliott. Anything Chris Elliott does, he's annoyed.
But Cabin Boy tells his dad to fuck off.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go back and join my fisherman.
It ends with his dad being like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
What? Which is, he's the most relatable character in the movie.
Yeah. Why?
You're a trust fund baby. Why are you leaving? And he's right. And then of course,
down Trina, and there's another 180 complete turnaround that makes no sense. And then they're off to rejoin the ship in
their typical fashion, with him on his back with a rope tied around her,
riding her like a what's the not the surfboard, but what is it calling the surfboard with the sail on it?
A windsail?
Windsurfing.
Yeah. Or like a pet dolphin that he's got in some kind of restraint. I just want to know where that rope is tied, because I feel like it looks like it's tied around her neck. I
don't think it's tied around her neck. I think it's just like around her waist, and he's holding on to it so he doesn't fall off.
Jeff Luce is chiming in with a proper ending to this movie would have been Chris Elliott waking up on the side of the road where the limo driver left him. It was just a fever dream. That's true, Jeff, but then that's, writing 101, that's a cop-out. You can't wake up from a dream. You just have to accept this as reality, that he's riding Trina.
Unless it's the last episode of the second Newhart show.
Oh, yes, the last, of Newhart. Yeah.
Of Newhart, yeah.
Yeah, because he woke up from a dream. And it's different, or St. Elsewhere, I guess. It's different if it's been a long-running TV show and you don't know how to end it, unless you're talking about Lost. And in the case of Lost, you fucked up. You just fucked up.
They literally should have just had them all wake up in bed with Suzanne Plachette.
That would have been great. Or if they were all just a figment of an autistic kid's imagination, that would have been fine. Either of those things would be fine. Skelton, final thoughts on Cabin Boy. Why should people watch this movie?
There's no, honestly, there's no good reason why anybody should watch Cabin Boy. It is, again, my key phrase is aggressively dumb. Yeah. And so you have to, it's like you either jump on with it or you hate it. Like I don't think there's a lot of middle ground Cabin Boy people. I think it's either like this is so dumb, I love it, or this is so dumb, I hate it.
Yeah, and I get both reactions, and for me, it's definitely a love it. But Hillary doesn't love it, but she loves other dumb shit. She likes Ace Ventura. She loves Dumb and Dumber.
Again, it's a particular style. Like again, like you said earlier, like Elliot's big, Elliot's touchstone is a lot like Tom Green, is aggressively annoying, and and that can be too grating and too abrasive, I think, for people. And with good,
and it's understandable. But I mean, given the millennial generation's love of Grandma's Boy, I would say if you're one of those people who likes Grandma's Boy, then I don't know why you wouldn't also like Cabin.
Well, no, I can see, like, I mean, because I think the lead character of Grandma's Boy isn't as aggressively unlikable as Elliot and Cabin Boy, and that's a huge difference. Like, if we're looking at like, an American comedy, it's really hard to do an American comedy with an unlikable protagonist. Like, because again, they had to, if you go back to TV examples, but British Office versus American Office is they very quickly jettisoned the unlikable elements
and made him like a sweet dumber.
Made him more Homer Simpson, and which was, again, for the American version of the show, it was the right call to make. It's what gave that show the legs. So
also
like
why I didn't really get into
Towers. They've tried to reboot Fawlty Towers in the US multiple times, and it's always failed. And I think the reason it's failed is because part of what makes that show so funny is how unlikable Basil Fawlty is, and his unlikableness like causes all of his problems.
Well, back when I was an actor, I did a show called You're the Worst, and that was a show about all these people who were unlikable. And one of the notes, if you will, that I would get from friends who would watch is like, I can't get into it. Everybody's such an asshole. And I'm like, but that's the whole fucking point. I mean,
it's hard. It's like, I think like probably Seinfeld is the only show that kind of mainstreamed it and got away.
I mean, It's Always Sunny, I think, is mainstream.
Yeah, but It's Always Sunny came on the heels. Came after that. So it like Curb Your Enthusiasm a bit, but it's more niche. It's not as broad in the culture as Seinfeld is. So, but I think also that it's a tonal thing that sometimes it's just like I think Chris Elliott, it's a tonal thing where it's like he can be, his delivery can be very nails on the chalkboard.
Yes.
And that's a huge like nope, forget it to a lot of people.
Yeah, I can understand.
It's a difference between like that, Chris Elliott as in Cabin Boy versus like Jason Alexander's George Costanza, who's who's just as unlikable but not as abrasive as characters.
Yeah, I agree, but I would say that if you do like dumbass comedies, this is worth the trip, even if you don't get into the Chris Elliott-ness of the lead performance, which I can totally understand. Within it are all these great bits, and like when I say great bits, I mean great dumb bits, like the Letterman cameo. Pretty much everything with Andy Richter is hilarious, and this cast of supporting legendary character actors, they all bring something. So there's
who are
something
just
to
doing
laugh
like
at.
the most hilariously gross fisherman sailor guys. Like it's amazing how much they commit to the grossness of their characters.
Yes, but at the same time, I mean, it's like what I'm saying. Like Chris Elliott himself might not work on this level for a lot of people, but I think all the supporting performances, while they're playing awful human beings, they all have a charm to them.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just in the actors' clear enjoyment of acting like assholes, because like Brian James and Brian Doyle Murray, the whole cast of sailors clearly love being horrible.
Oh yeah, so they're obviously having a lot of fun being this gross.
There's like a great joy.
It's especially when you get into like really when you get into comedy that really leans into absurdism. Just minor tonal differences can make a huge difference in whether somebody, locks into it and enjoys it, or is like, that's not for me. I hate that. So I think that's Cabin Boy's definitely got that absurdist tonal area that is like I understand on a visceral level watching 5 minutes of it and going, I'm out.
Yeah, no, I do too. But you're right. There's those details, comedic details within whatever scenario is happening on screen that if you're turned off by it, you're going to miss them. But if somehow you can zen yourself out on the Chris Elliott-ness of it all, there's a lot of great bits, in the background. I mean, Ricky Lake is a weird
people
thing.
Should force themselves to watch Cabin Boy.
Yeah, watch Cabin Boy or you have failed America. Let's do our end segment starting with Be Bad or Be Best. I don't know if you remember this, Skeleton, but I will give you a title of a movie.
Okay.
I've chosen movies on the theme of comedic water-oriented pictures.
And aqua-based humor.
Aqua-based humor. So I'll present a title, and you say whether it's so bad nobody should watch it. Just be bad. It's just don't waste your time with this, or it's be best in that it's so bad everyone should watch it. Certainly people who love bad movies.
Okay.
So here you go. And if you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure you've seen this. I think maybe we watched it together one time. But even if you haven't seen it, you can judge it,
I will. Yeah. No, I have no problem judging.
You don't have to worry about. Yeah. You can judge without education, which is what another thing that America is about.
That's my wheelhouse.
Be Bad or Be Best. Up the Creek.
Oh, Shit, I haven't seen that in years.
It's got
I'm assuming just from that cover art that it has not aged well.
it's aged as well as any one of these other movies from the 80s, including maybe not Animal House, but this movie has a lot of Animal House DNA. It's got Matheson, it's got Stephen Furst, it's also got Jonathan Hillerman is in it. It's a what our friend film historian Justin, he calls them jiggle comedies, which I think is a hilarious way to put it.
I'm gonna like, for some reason I have like fond memories. It just may be nostalgia for the time. I want to say Be Best, but with the caveat that I haven't seen it in quite a while, so it may not have aged. I'm gonna say Be Best now, and then when I watch it again, I'll be like
Hey, you might like B.A. for different reasons than you think if you were to rewatch it, but I would say it actually isn't ultimately as cringy as Revenge of the Nerds can be.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of on the Revenge of the Nerds scale of actual like sex crimes that a Law and Order show would arrest people for. Where it falls with Revenge of the Nerds being like a high bar.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of crime happening in that movie.
Yeah, there isn't a lot in this, and also it's got Mike the dog, who you might remember from.
Oh right, yeah, Mike the dog from Down and Out in Beverly Hills, and
he gets way more to do in this movie, which if you like Mike the dog, it's worth it. But also, Tim Matheson
that dog's been dead for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there is an unofficial sequel to Animal House, it's this. And Tim Matheson, who I love Matheson, and I think he's great in a lot of different roles. Like Impulse, have you ever seen that movie?
Oh yeah,
with him and Meg Tilly. Like he gives a really good lead performance, and he's really good in that Stephen King movie. Sometimes they come back. So I think he's got like great dramatic chops, but also he's good as a villain like Fletch. But when he's playing his character from Animal House, it's just delightful. His smarmy, cocky guy.
Tim Matheson is like in retrospect, now do we know, like, behavior wise, is he a good guy?
I really don't know, and I don't think that there's.
I'm thinking. My initial thought was like, oh, Tim Matheson feels like he should have had Alec Baldwin's career.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, like he came in a little earlier than Alec Baldwin, but I do feel like he was sort of. I agree. I mean, I feel like Tim Matheson would be all right with how he turned out and how his career turned out.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm just thinking of Hunt for Red October.
But I agree. I think Matheson should have gotten more stuff. He was very good in everything he did. But like I said, watching
he's
him
still alive.
Yeah, and he's still working, so it's fine. I'm just saying, like, I wished he had been more of a movie star than ultimately.
Oh yeah, Jeff says he's became a director. Did a lot of it was a TV, I think. Mostly.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, a lot of those guys do. Yeah. I might have auditioned for him once, actually, now that I think about it. I'm gonna move us on to
he did a Jonathan Frakes.
Yes, or either of the guys from Wings. They both directed. When bad films happen to good actors, Skelton, I'm gonna present a title of a movie that I feel like happened to somebody who didn't deserve it. So this movie is a 90s movie. And it's got a man in it who I think, deserved better, but also, always took a paycheck. And it is called I have it on a triple feature DVD.
Oh,
It's called McHale's Navy.
Oh no.
And and this is a bad movie that happened to a lot of people. That looks an awful lot like French Stewart, but I can't find his name in the IMDb. But there's David Alan Grier, and French Stewart, and both those guys are great and have been wildly underused by Hollywood, I think, and they deserved better than a McHale's Navy. They needed a different studio movie that would have launched them further into the stratosphere. I
can totally agree with that because I like both of those actors, and I forgot they did a McHale's Navy with freaking Tom Arnold.
Yeah, and I've liked Tom Arnold and stuff. I mean, I liked True Lies.
Oh, yeah. I'm not like
I really liked Hit and Run.
He's also been very, very bad.
Yeah, the McHale's Navy is just an exercise in corporate blandness.
Yeah, that was just like a pure calculation. Like, well, we have this IP, and we'll jam this guy into the.
And it's military. It's a military, pro-military people. Some people like that.
Yeah, our accountants say it will make this much in the box office if we keep the cost under this amount.
I would say in general, most of this comedic supporting cast is underserved by the movie itself. But,
I'm not gonna
that's just my opinion. If you like McHale's Navy, let me know. I'm sure it's great. I'm going to end on a positive note, Steve, with a segment we call The Boost. And if you would like to boost something that you think of, please do. It can be a TV show. It doesn't have to be a movie. But the thing I'd like to boost, talking about seafaring comedies, and I feel like this movie's very underrated. It's also very stupid, but it's grounded by a couple of great lead performances that have actually great chemistry that I'm not sure why hasn't been used again. And I'm talking about, of course, Captain Ron.
Oh, wow, Captain Ron.
With Kurt Russell and Martin Short. It's such a dumb family. It's very family. It's very PG rated. But the interplay between Kurt Russell's Captain Ron and Martin Short's dad is really great. It's really great and really funny. I mean, for me, I don't know. Do you like Uncle Buck?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like Uncle Buck.
See, this is up there with Uncle Buck. Kurt Russell is like
Uncle Buck. It's Uncle Buck adjacent.
Yeah, it's Uncle Buck adjacent.
I was just watching the other day, just going down a YouTube rabbit hole, the Martin Short doing the Jiminy Glick interview with Kurt Russell, where Russell just can't stop laughing. Like he can't. He's completely destroyed. He can't deal with Short as Glick at all. It's pretty hilarious. And it was like, it was when I was like, hey, here's a whole string of different people, celebrities being interviewed, where some of them, are able to kind of answer questions and deal with them, but like Russell's just lost it completely.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kurt Russell. Here's Big Trouble in Little China. I think Captain Ron is on the same level as Big Trouble, as far as at least as far as Kurt Russell performances. His performance is fabulous. He does a great job. Have you never seen it?
I always like Kurt Russell. I've seen it, but again, I probably haven't seen Captain Ron in 20 years.
Well, it's for kids and families, but
yeah,
I rediscovered it when Colby was a kid, and the two of us just died laughing throughout. It was it's a delight. It's a forgotten delight, I would say. Do you want to plug anything at all? Should people? Megan 2.0, right?
What? Oh, actually, okay. I will. I mean, I'll give that a little plug simply because a couple of jobs ago, I worked for a company that built a AI powered robot for like child therapy purposes, and that robot's in Megan 2. and if you've seen the trailer, it's that little blue robot, and
Yeah.
they but they actually, from what I've been told, it's not like a CG'd version of the robot. They actually use the systems that we built for it, and then the guy who did most of the animations and stuff did a bunch of custom stuff for the movie. So Megan 2.0 gets stuck in that little child's robot for a while.
That's so cool. I've
I
seen
do
the
it.
trailer. It's very cool. I've seen the trailer, and the robot doesn't look CG in the trailer. So
No, it's it's all apparently like they did it all, live using the the custom animals and stuff for to do the thing, but just using the tech that is basically there for for like, so if a therapist could control the robot and have the robot say things and do the different animals, they use that system to do it. And looks like it works really well. So
that's
should be fun.
that's pretty
I
cool.
I also like the trailer. I like the trailer because it looks like they're doing the Alien to Aliens thing, and they're not just doing it. They're doing Megan 2 as an action movie, primarily, not as another horror movie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I think that's a good choice. And
yeah,
hopefully
I
it'll
don't.
pay off.
The only thing interesting about the trailer to me is your robot, but I mean, I might see it. I don't know. I'm getting so burned out on the horror.
It's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to make a sequel because it really was kind of a self-contained kind of sci-fi horror story. So doing it, but it did well enough. You're like, well, we're gonna do another one. So whether we like it or not, somebody's gonna do another one. And you can either, again, going back to Lost, it's like the interview with Lindelof was, the original pitch was we have a 3-season story for Lost, like beginning to end, 3 seasons, and they got like into like season 2, and what was it, CBS or ABC? I can't remember which. Was ABC. They were like, yeah, we're gonna do more than 3 seasons, so you can either do it or somebody else can, or just hire someone else. And he was like,
it's that.
I'll do
it's
it.
that age-old thing.
Then
Like,
it just went off the rails because like we had a 3-season story and we had to, and then it just
well, and you're not gonna, if you do sequels to your own movie, you're not gonna make them better. But if you don't do it, then somebody else will have done it. It's like the Zucker brothers always say their biggest regret is not doing Airplane 2 because they had to watch Airplane 2 and they wouldn't have done it that way. Which is actually what they just said about the new Naked Gun movie. It said, this is the most painful thing I've watched since Airplane 2. And it's because I didn't do it myself and they're not doing it right. Yeah. Anyway, everybody, next week, our guest will be Jeff Luce, who's commented a few times tonight. And Skelton, you're going to love this. He chose Logan's Run.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's a shitty movie. I'm on the fence about it, but it's very enjoyable.
Story. It's a good story, but it's not the greatest movie. But there's
it's got you're right there. It kind of gets by conceptually.
The cops wear pajamas.
Yes, they do. And Jeff thinks the new Naked Gun trailer looks hilarious. I think there are things in it that look hilarious,
I watched it and I was like, it made me laugh in a couple of spots, but I'm also like, I think Pamela Anderson was really funny in the trailer. Like,
yeah, she is.
She made me laugh in the chair. Take a chair. So
I'll watch it because it looks like a Naked Gun movie, and I saw all of them in the theater, and the sequel.
Yeah, so why not? Why wouldn't you?
Why stop
for Naked Gun now?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going. And I do like the casting of Liam Neeson. Everybody, even though everybody's like, "Wow, how could you cast? He's so serious." I'm like, Leslie Nielsen, you idiots.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They're doing it again. That's all. Anyway, we'll see you next week when we talk about Logan's Run with Jeff Luce. Bye, everybody.
Hey.